Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Anurodh Godha from School of Commerce and Management, Vardhaman Mahavir Open University, Kota. Today we are going to talk on module Discipline from the paper Human Resource Management. Students, after going through this module, you will be able to understand the fundamental nature of industrial discipline. You will be able to point out the nature and major aims and objectives of discipline. You will study and appreciate the significance of industrial discipline after going through this module. After going through this module, you will be able to know about various principles for maintaining the discipline, and as well as you will be able to understand the concept of indiscipline and misconduct. After going through this module, you will be able to know about the causes of breach of discipline, and you will be able to know about the guidelines governing the disciplinary action. After this module, you will also be able to learn about the code of discipline in Indian industry. Industrial discipline is crucial for healthy industrial environment and for escalating productivity and production. Discipline may be defined as an approach which aims at instilling orderly behavior and respect with willing obedience to a recognized authority. The promotion and maintenance of employee discipline brings multifarious benefits to the organization and its employee in the form of goal attainment, in the form of smooth functioning of the organization. Discipline means getting obedience to rules and regulation of the organization. It is very simple definition. Discipline is absolutely essential for smooth running of any business or organization. According to Webster's dictionary, first, it is the training that corrects, molds, strengthens or brings perfection in individual behavior. Second, it is control gained by enforcing obedience, and third, it is punishment. According to Dr. Sprizzle, discipline is the force that promotes an individual or a group of individuals to observe the rules, regulations and procedures which are deemed to be necessary to the attainment of objectives. It is force or fear of force which restrain an employee or a group of employees from doing things which are deemed to be destructive of the group objectives. It is also the exercise of restraints or the enforcement of penalties for the violation of group regulations. Students, discipline guarantees successful fulfillment of organizational goals. How? Because it motivates the workers to abide by the instructions issued by the management or supervisor from time to time. On violation or disobedience, in the case of violation, in case of disobedience of organization rules, it imposes fine or sometimes punishments. Therefore, it is also called a big stick approach. Students, now we will throw a light upon the aspects of discipline. There are two aspects of discipline: negative discipline as well as positive discipline. Now we will learn what is negative aspect of discipline. In negative aspect, we uses fear as a force to enforce discipline in the organization. Means we enforce discipline by using fear. If any employee or worker breaks the rules and regulation laid out by the company, then strict punishments is given to them. This is categorized as traditional concept of discipline. At the same time, what is positive discipline? With the ever increasing awareness among the workers concerning with their rights and responsibilities, it is required on the part of management to reconsider the negative approach of fear used by them so far. Thus, management emphasis nowadays on the concept of self-discipline. Self-discipline means discipline from inside. This approach of self-control or self-discipline asserts on cooperative effort of the employee to abide by the rules of the organization. Thus, we can say that positive aspect of discipline plays a major role in safeguarding industrial peace, harmony and prosperity. Students, now we will learn what are the aims and objectives of discipline. The aims and objectives of discipline are, the first aim of discipline is to achieve the organizational goals. How to achieve the organizational goals? By trying to earn the willing approval of employees. To introduce the component of uniformity and assurance despite the numerous differences in informal behavior pattern in the organization. The third is to improve the quality of production by enhancing the morale and work efficiency of the organization. Definitely, if the morale and work efficiency will be at higher side, then the organization will flourish. The next is to generate respect for human relations, which is very important. It is a societal concept to generate respect for human relations in the organization, and to confer and seek directions and responsibilities. Students, now we will see that how discipline is playing an important role in the industry. Discipline acts as a cornerstone for the smooth functioning of an enterprise. There is an absence of discipline in any industry, then it can create a great amount of confusion which decrease its productivity. For any enterprise, whether it is a big or it is a small enterprise, manpower is the most powerful, and thereby all efforts should be made to make them in discipline. All steps should be taken to encourage mutual trust and confidence. Mutual trust and confidence between the workers and the management, which is indispensable to bring discipline at the workforce. Maintenance of discipline is a precondition for attaining the aims and purpose of the organization. Disciplined employee will assist in creation of pleasant industrial environment which will be beneficial for the industry and beneficial for the nation also. Students, in this next section, we will talk about indiscipline. We have thrown a light on discipline. Now we will talk about indiscipline. Indiscipline may be expressed as non-compliance to the formal or informal rules and regulation laid down by the organization. Means if an employee is not applying or going through or abiding with the rules and regulation laid down by the organization, that comes under the category of indiscipline. Indiscipline may prove to have detrimental effects on the morale and motivation of employee as well as on the organization as a whole. Now we will discuss various factors which are responsible for indiscipline. Students, there are various socio-economical, cultural factors that play a major role in creating indiscipline. What are those factors? The first amongst those is unfair labor practices. If there are unfair labor practices, then definitely this will lead to indiscipline. Defective grievance procedure. If the grievance procedure is not proper or adequate, then again it will lead to indiscipline. Poor two-way communication. If the communication is not two-way, then definitely this will also lead to indiscipline, because the organization or the top manager will not be able to convey. At the same time, the lower management or the supervisory management will not be able to convey their feelings and their gestures. Fourth is victimization by management. In case employee or group of employees are victimized by management, then this also leads to indiscipline. Next is wage differentials. This plays a major role. If the organizations are giving one group of employees with the X amount and the other person with the X plus amount, then definitely this will create this will be injustice, and this might be a reason of indiscipline. Then wrong work assignments. This is also a major reason for to become an indiscipline. Low payment rates and ineffective leadership. Now we will learn ways to cope with indiscipline. Management can adopt various strategies to keep a check on indiscipline in the organization. What are those strategies? Approaches to manage indiscipline may be counseling the employee, educating the employee, job enrichment, grievance handling training or a proper grievance schedule, and proper induction program. Students, in this section, we will talk about misconduct. We will try to focus on what is misconduct and what are the categories of misconduct. Misconduct means an action or type of behavior can be defined as misconduct if it is prejudicially to the interest of the employer and other employees and inconsistent with the norms set for discharging duties, unsafe or unfaithful to such a degree that it becomes incompatible to continue employer-employee relationship. There are three categories of misconduct. The first is minor contraventions, then major contraventions, then intolerable offense. Disciplinary acts or misconduct may be categorized as minor contraventions. Minor contraventions results in few serious consequences like negligence, minor disobedience about the rules, and again the carelessness. The carelessness, disobedience and negligence come under the minor contraventions. Then major contraventions. It means partially hinders the working of the organization. The example of major contraventions are lying, cheating or stealing. Then the third type of category of misconduct may be intolerable offenses, and these are of unlawful or severe nature with endanger employment relationship. The example of intolerable offenses may be threat to use weapons, use of drugs on the job, and smoking near inflammables. Here is an illustration list. We will talk on that about the acts constituting misconduct under Model Standard Order Act 1946. Means what is a misconduct is described below. It is a willful insubordination or disobedience of an lawful and reasonable order, rule or regulation. Means the lawful rules, orders or regulations are being not followed. It is a refusal to work on a job or refusal to work on a machine which has been assigned to him. We can also categorize it refusal to accept or reply to a charge sheet within the prescribed period of time. The next item of illustrative list may be theft, fraud or dishonesty in connection with property of the company. Then theft of the another employee's property inside the industrial area or inside the company's premises. Causing willful damage to or loss of employees' goods or property. Causing damage to a product in process or any property. Interference with safety devices. The next item may be considered in the list of misconduct. Non-observance of safety precautions and rules. Or we can say taking or giving a bribe or doing any illegal gesture. Acceptance of the gifts from subordinates. This is also considered under indiscipline. Habitual late coming. Absence from duty without leave or without any notice. Overstay on leave. Overstay when on leave without prior authorized permission. Entering or leaving or attempting to enter or leave the work premises except through authorized entrance and exits. Students, in this section, we will learn the causes and approaches towards disciplinary action. The main reasons for breach of discipline in any organization may be categorized in 4 sections. The first, causes related to the worker. Second, the causes related to the socio-cultural factors. Third, the causes related to the work environment. And finally, the fourth, causes related to the management practices. What are the causes related to the worker? We can classify in 3 sections. Illiteracy and low intellectual level of worker. This may also be a cause of taking disciplinary action. Workers' personal problems like their fear, their hope and their aspirations. The third subcategory may be inborn tendencies of workers to flout the rules, to break the rules. The second category, which is related to the socio-cultural factors, may be misunderstanding the rivalry amongst workers. Discrimination based on caste, color, sex, place in imposing penalties. These 2 things also become a cause towards disciplinary action. The next reason for breach of discipline may be related to work environment. Due to bad working condition, due to defective supervision, and due to non-placement of right person at the right job or mismatch between the person and the job. The fourth reason for breach of discipline is categorized as, which is related to management practices. What are those? Like lack of clarity in rules and regulation as laid down by the top management. Next may be faulty performance appraisal systems leading to favoritism, thereby generating indiscipline. Then absence of sympathetic and scientific management. Students, now we will discuss some principles of industrial discipline. Industrial discipline should be based on certain just and fair principles to be accepted by the employees. The basic prerequisites, or we can say the principles to be observed are: the very objective of industrial discipline should be clearly laid out. The first principle, or we can say the first prerequisite may be that the objective of industrial discipline should be clearly laid out. The code of conduct should be framed with consultation and collaboration of the workers or representative of workers. The code of conduct must be communicated to all concerned in the department so that they can aware about those things which must not to be followed. The rules and regulations concerning the discipline should be understandably by all. Means first you must discuss with the representative or employee, then you properly throw them or you properly put them, you properly bring them into the notice, and then you should know that they are understanding those things in a considerable way. Next principle is the rules of conduct must able to settle the grievance if any arising during the period of the employment. The approach of discipline policy should be preventing, like stress be laid on prevention of violation of discipline rather than an administration of penalties. It must be very positive. It must not like giving always penalties and punishments. It must be like prevention of violation of discipline. The atmosphere, the culture should be like this only. The enforcement authority must be specified. Discipline policy should not discriminate against the employees. It should be uniform for all employees without favoring any one worker or without favoring a particular employee. A disciplinary committee in the advisory capacity be constituted to look into the matters of indiscipline and to put forth the necessary suggestions. Students, in this section we will learn guidelines of a disciplinary action. The first guideline is fixation of responsibility. The responsibility for sustainable discipline in the organization should be given to responsible person, or say a personal officer, who will be responsible for discipline or any disciplinary action which must be taken. Next is proper framing and communication of rules. Students, the rules and regulations should be cautiously and accurately formulated and published in books. The third is rules and regulations should be reasonable. The work standard must be set in a way that it can be attained by the employees, and the rules be modified at frequent level or frequent intervals to suit the changing organizational circumstances. Fourth is equal treatment. Rules and penalties should be applied equitably. Identical punishment should be granted for identical offences. The next is prompt action must be there. Care should be taken to make sure that the penalty is imposed on violation of a rule has occurred. The next is search for the facts. Before proceeding to take any disciplinary action or any action against the employee, provide him with sufficient time to present his side in the case and ask him what and why it happened. The next is do the natural justice. The punishment or penalty imposed on the indisciplined worker must satisfy the principle of natural justice. The punishment should always justify with the gravity of the offense. Students, to understand the approach of discipline, now we will understand McGregor's hot stove rule. The model method for enforcement of discipline should have the 4 important characteristics, same as the characteristics of red hot stove. What are those characteristics? A red hot stove always give advance warning. There are immediate effect, consistency and impersonal approach. We will discuss these 4 elements or these 4 characteristics of red hot stove in detail. The first, advance warning. Students, we all know that a red hot stove tells us, don't touch me, you will suffer. Similarly, a worker knows what is expected from him and what will be the result if he fails to live up with those expectations. So, a disciplinary approach must also be like that, always giving a advance warning like a red hot stove. The second characteristics of red hot stove is it gives immediate effect. If one overlooks the advance warning and touches the stove, he gets immediate result. Immediate results like fingers may suffer. Likewise, workers may get instant effect on committing any act of indiscipline. Like a stove, he is giving advance warning, then to your touching, then it may burn your finger. The same thing in organization. You must warn the employees or you must make them aware about the rules, regulation, procedures must be followed. And in case any breach in those regulations or rules, then do the action immediately, like the action being done by the red stove. The third characteristics of red hot stove is consistency. Every time we touch a stove, we get the same result. It's not possible that when we touch X time we touch the red stove, we do not burn our finger, and the next day we touch, we got burnt. It is consistent. It hardly matters that at what time the result is always same. In the same way, every time a worker commits the insufficient act or commits a mistake, he should be penalized. What will be the level of penalization? It is a different matter. It depends on the level of mistake. But What a red stove says? Consistency. So organizations also follow consistency while implementing discipline. The fourth characteristics of a red hot stove is impersonal approach. Red hot stove functions uniformly for all, doing away with any favoritism. The stove don't worry that who is touching him. In the same way, management should not discriminate in imposing punishment or imposing punishment on the basis of caste. Like they must avoid this thing that the person of X caste will be punished, but the person of Y caste will not be punished. The discrimination not be on the basis of color and the gender. So it should guarantee the fundamental right to equity and equality. Thus, students, these four characteristics of advance warning, immediate effect, consistency, impersonal approach should be kept in mind before administrating any disciplinary action. Students, further now we will understand the procedure for disciplinary action. Disciplinary action or the procedure to take a disciplinary action may consist or may be classified into 5 stages. The first, ascertaining the statement of the problem, then searching for the underlying facts, then deciding upon the types of penalty, thereafter application of penalty, and the last step of the disciplinary action procedure may be follow up on disciplinary action. We will discuss the first step in detail. Ascertaining the statement of the problem. First, look into the violation of rules and the number of employees involved in the matter. Then ascertain the gravity of the violation and the condition under which it occurs. Who are breaking the rules? The number of persons who are breaking the rules, and the gravity of the violation, that what is the level of the violation. Search for those things. Ascertain those things. Then come to the next step. Searching for the underlying fact. Sometimes it happens that we on overview we find something, but inside the picture there is a different scene. This calls for thorough examination of the case together the relevant facts. After ascertaining the statement of problem and searching for the underlying facts, now the next step is deciding upon the type of penalty. The penalty or punishment should be such which discourages future reoccurrences of the offense or future reoccurrences of the violation. But it should always relate to the gravity of the offense. The fourth step we can take application of penalty. In this step, the selected penalty may be imposed on the wrongdoers, and if the offense is not a serious nature, then it may be disposed of very quickly. The last step is follow up on disciplinary action. Students, vigilant supervision of the person against whom a disciplinary action is taken should be done. Student, in this section, we will come across the Code of Discipline in Indian Industry. The Indian Labour Conference held in New Delhi discussed discipline in Indian industry, and they laid down certain principles governing to it. These are induced voluntary agreement between labor unions and management to abide by certain self-imposed rules of behavior in order to ensure that disputes do not arise, and that if they do, to promote an orderly settlement through negotiation, conciliation and voluntary arbitration. The next governing principle, the code enjoins upon the parties to accord due recognition to each other's just rights and responsibilities. The third, it enjoins upon the parties to refrain from taking any unilateral action in connection with any industrial matter, to utilize the existing machine for the settlement of disputes with the utmost expedition, and to adjure strikes, lockouts without notice and without first exploring all possible avenues of a settlement. It discourages integration and lays emphasis on a mutual settlement of disputes through negotiation, conciliation, and voluntary arbitration rather than through adjudication. It enjoins that neither party should resort to demonstration, intimidation, victimization, violation, discrimination, or interfere in union activities or with the normal work of employees, or indulge in subordination or willful damage to the property. The code requires the employees to recognize the majority union in their establishments or industries and set up a well-defined and mutually agreed grievance redressal procedure. It requires workers not to adopt go-slow tactics or indulge in stay or sit-down strikes while they are on duty. It emphasizes that awards, decisions, agreements, and settlements should be promptly and readily implemented, and that any act which disrupts or impairs the cordial relationship between the employment and management, or which is contrary to the spirit of the code, is carefully avoided. The final code was, it conducts employees and their trade unions to take appropriate action against their officers and members who indulge in activities which are contrary to the spirit and letter of the code. So students, let us summarize what we have learnt in this module. We have observed that industry discipline is vital for creation and maintenance of healthy and peaceful industrial environment. Discipline is absolutely essential for the smooth running of business, and it brings numerous benefits to the organization and to the employees as well. We have seen that discipline is the force that prompts an employee or group of employees to observe the rules, regulations, and procedures which are deemed to be necessary to the attainment of an objective. Discipline is a force or fear of force which restrain an individual or a group from doing things which are deemed to be destructive of group objectives. It is also the exercise of enforcement of penalties for the violation of group regulations. Students, discipline acts as a cornerstone for the smooth functioning of any enterprise. We have seen that absence of discipline in any industry can create a great amount of confusion, thereby decreasing the productivity and profitability. For any enterprise, whether it is a big or small, manpower is the most vital resource, and thereby all efforts should be made to discipline them. Students, we have learned through the module that discipline has two aspects, positive aspects and negative aspects. Positive aspect about self-discipline. Indiscipline and misconduct can surge from number of factors like unfair labor practices, wage differentials, poor communication between the management and employee, ineffective leadership. Indiscipline and misconduct are two evils that can hamper the smooth functioning of an organization, so that they should be curbed at any cost. Through the module, we can say that model standing orders and code of discipline as stated by Indian Labour Conference can help in long term to keep a check on the indiscipline in the industry. Thank you so much for patience listening and visiting to EPG Pathshala.